So hey guys, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be talking about how the men of today, and let's say the men between the ages of 20s and early 30s, don't treat women with respect and don't emulate the chivalry that was present by men from the 80s and 90s. Now, this video stems from Instagram influencer Jayda Cheaves posting a video on her Instagram story stating that she feels that men don't respect the women of today.
And you know, lately, like, I always be asking my friends, like, do y'all feel like the value of women to guys have went down, or guys just don't, you know, respect us, appreciate us how they used to back in the 80s and the 90s? You know, like, women control the, like, literally, you know, because I could say this now, but I only say that because of status. Like, we making hella money just like these. But as far as a man literally worshiping the ground a woman walk on, it's kind of rare these days. We running out of that. And it's kind of scary in society today. And I don't know, I might piss a lot of people off talking about this, but this is just conversations I be having with my friends. But guys don't appreciate us. I don't know what it is. This might be just something I talk about on maybe the first topic I talk about on my podcast, because I don't know. It's just a little weird these days. It's like we gotta fight for a spot in these lives, or they want to put. I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna save this for my podcast, because y'all know I got a podcast coming out here. We all about to be acting normal. I got a podcast coming. Stay tuned. But yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be the first topic I talk about, though, because it's real different out here. But we do run the world for sure. We control the world. I feel like we the reason it's spinning. Women are taking over day by day, and that's just all I'm gonna say for now.
Now, Jayda, we're peers, same age, same all of that. So yes, I see where you're coming from. Chivalry is dead, right? Kinda. I truly think that in the 80s and 90s, men were just as terrible as they are today. But I do think a lot of it was hidden in the way how back then people valued marriage, the way how music was geared towards respecting women, and the stupid magnetic devotion to being a ride or die. I think this conversation is perfect for the early and mid and late 20-somethings, because I find a lot of us are in this weird phase of figuring out how to go about dating and what we actually deserve when we go through the process of being courted and carrying out relationships. I know Jayda is going to be seen as a questionable person to state this on some right message, wrong messenger, but I think she is saying what a lot of us 20-something-year-olds have been thinking for a while. Pick me alert, pick me alert, pick me alert. The following content may have verbiage that makes some viewers uncomfortable and call me a pick me. Please exit the video if you're unable to be held accountable as a woman and find rage in participating in conversations that may appease the opposite sex. You've been warned. So I think dating in 2022 sucks, like hands down. It's not fun, and I don't even attempt it for real these days. I don't go anywhere, so I don't meet anybody. I'm really turned off by a lot of the men of this generation, and many of them just don't cut it for me. So I feel her frustration, but I definitely think there are multiple components to the topic she proposed. So I've broken this video down into 3 main talking points. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So point number 1 is traditional values. Let's talk about it. I think the main thing Jayda was trying to convey is that traditional values and the traditional ways of dating have been scrambled up, stomped on, spit on, balled up, and thrown into the Mariana Trench of the ocean. And I think with the change of time and the evolution of how many people look at dating, this is one of those results. And I think this is carried out by both men and women. We are a generation of young people who really like to stray away from the long-time norms that our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents followed religiously. So for example, I think women who were 24 about 24 years ago, they were courted correctly, or at least better than we are today. You would meet people when you go out, a man would approach you, men knew to have respect for a woman they were interested in, and then you would begin dating, and then if it worked out, things were successful, at least on the surface level. Now, obviously, there are different caveats in which it doesn't go exactly like that, but I guess that's the picture-perfect example that people lived by in the past. I think traditional values have gone out the window because we have normalized untraditional values. Simple as that. In regards to dating, the spectrum of what people require has really altered, and many of the young people that we see these days aren't following traditional values. The old nursery rhyme goes, first comes love, then comes marriage, and then a baby in a baby carriage. These days, it's first comes lust, then comes sex, then comes baby, and love never comes. And there are so many examples of people following this combination of a relationship timeline that traditional values are becoming a bit more obsolete. And who is pushing this the most? Millennials and Gen Z, specifically Gen Z. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is a channel that directly discusses things affecting women and young Black women in particular. So I like to hold us accountable because we have to be the ones to realize the differences between traditional ways of dating and the unorthodox ways that are apparent in current times. I will say this. I think it's fair to point out that many of the traditional examples of relationships or marriage is excluding the fact that many couples went through infidelity, dishonesty, the whole 9 yards. I'm pretty sure that was apparent back in the 80s and 90s. But I think the value of staying together as a couple and the way how men saw women as a partner and not an accessory is kind of the reason that those couples were heralded as admirable. Men may have always thought of women as accessories or possessions, but in this day and age, it has really exploded. The term trophy wife is so important to men these days. I mean, look at the former US President Trump. Exactly. In a traditional mindset, men valued marriage and so did women. And marriage was the goal for a lot of people, whether it was because of religious sanctions, personal goals, or true love. Nowadays, that's changing because of so many factors, but I think we as a generation just don't put that much value on marriage. The amount of women that say, some women don't want to get married, but would commit to having a baby is beyond me. But that's a video for another day. So we don't put that much value on what it takes for a woman to give a man attention. We are so jaded by materialism, artificial love, sexual desire, and looking at all of these couples goals that we will get the bare minimum and then wonder why the maximum effort is absent. At the end of Jayda's rant, she talked about how women are running the world and we are doing so much in being recognized for being women, which I do agree with, but I also feel that the quote-unquote traditional woman didn't have as much triumph as women do now, hence why their standards were a lot higher back then. So by that I mean, women weren't nearly as recognized as equal partners and or partners who had the ability to provide and or partners who could be recognized for their success outside of the home. So they devoted a lot of their value to how well they could be a wife and a mom, hence why the requirements and the value that they placed on the way how a man approached them was different than it is today. As much as we can say men ain't shit, I do think both men and women have allowed traditional values to be eradicated from dating requirements, and it hurts the way how this generation approaches love, fights for love, and most importantly, loves one another. So point number 2 is social media. Y'all know I can't talk about almost any topic these days without describing how social media plays a role. And I think this is the largest component of this video because with Jayda being a social media influencer, her dating experience is going to be a little bit different than the average girl. I see what Jayda was saying with how she feels as though men overall are not as invested in seeking out women in a respectful manner. She said that men back in the 80s and 90s would kiss the ground that we walk on, and that nowadays that isn't the case. And this is where the pick Misha in me is going to come out. So for those of you who are going to drag me or get offended, you can click off now. Moving along, let's be real, Jayda. The reason why a lot of men don't value relationships is because social media has been a casting ground for everything they want, desire, and fantasize about for free. And sorry, sis, you do play a role in that. Social media almost forces men to see the raw glimpses of the physical and personality-based exterior elements, and sometimes interior, of a woman who may be a potential partner. And all of these girls, similar to Jayda, are adding to this downfall. We are giving men a free show. We are allowing men to get to know us without putting in adequate work, and it's stemming straight from our social media profiles. You get on Instagram, you wear next to nothing, you shake your ass and clap your cheeks for millions to see, you leave little to the imagination, you get with certain types of men, and then question why a man doesn't value, respect, or appreciate us women. We've literally set the bar so low. And I know this doesn't apply for every woman, but there are people who look at my Instagram page and think, oh, tall girl, big booty, has the stereotypical pretty features that a lot of these girls are supporting, and won't give me the time of day because the image that I give them is that of a woman who they find no value in or low value in. It's not until somebody watches a YouTube video of mine or meets me in person or knows that I have a college degree or has multiple ongoing businesses where they start to differentiate myself and what the average girl is putting on social media. So the skimpier the clothes get, the skimpier the respect gets. And I know it sucks, but at the same time, we are also creating this narrative, and it's not one-sided. I do think men should be more practical and not looking at the surface level of a woman's attractiveness and sexual appeal, but men don't think like women. Men are very physical creatures all around. Women are very emotional creatures all around. So men are looking for certain physical characteristics that that may not align with the personality traits that it takes to actually be a good partner. And as soon as you show them that you are primarily physical appeal, they don't feel the need to value you or give you everything that you deserve. In Jayda's case, she deals with industry men. And I'm gonna be real, social media has made industry men and bad bitches the pinnacle of dating. That goes for any race of people. Rappers and IG models are unfortunately the peanut butter and jelly of millennial relationships. Lil Baby and Jayda are or were essentially hip-hop couples' goals. And whether you saw them as these big-name people or not, their relationship was highly coveted as what people wanted to attain. Yet if you peel back all the layers of how their relationship was formed, you see that Lil Baby barely had to put in that much work to get her attention, get her interested, and win her over. Social media has allowed women to require so much less because the things that we think we should be looking for in a man are completely ludicrous, like literally completely skewed. So y'all want a man with money, a man who is known, a man who dresses a certain way, a man who has all of these superficial qualities about him, but we don't look at the things that actually matter. We don't require respect. We don't require him not having kids prior to dating us. We don't require education. We don't require a steady job. And all of these things should be reciprocated between both men and women. Let me make sure I say that. But social media, again, has really allowed for so many different horrible examples of relationships to lower our standards and stray us away from traditional values and what we should be looking for. We can't want traditionalism praised without living by traditionalism. So no, a man is not going to look at a girl who is showing the entire internet her body being overtly sexualized or overly sexualized, a girl who is only requiring them to buy a designer purse, or already having a kid with someone else before you and then turn around and give you the traditional ways of dating. And in Jayda's case, she didn't really require much. She didn't require a ring before she gave Lil Baby a baby. She's been rumored to be very materialistic, and I think she got caught up in the glitz and glam of the relationship before she grew up and now realized that there should have been a way different approach to her situation. Side note, a lot of y'all sometimes comment about how Jayda and Lil Baby's relationship started in a very messy way. I don't know the full story. Somebody can leave it below, but I do think that plays a role in why it didn't work out, because if there was some overlap with him and the previous girl and a lot of drama between the two baby mamas, that definitely should have been red flag number one. But you live and you learn, and I'm glad Jayda seems to be learning from all of this. So subsequently, social media is lowering the standards of women and increasing the audacity of men. And this is all a byproduct of social media and the emphasis kids and even grown people put on these types of relationships. We have to look in reality and not this fake ass internet. And I know some of you women feel as though women should be able to dress how we want, say what we want, and do what we want, right? Y'all say if we want to sexualize ourselves, we should be in control of it and men shouldn't have any say so. Okay, cool. But to be honest, that mindset is actually working against a lot of us. If you want to show your poom poom and bare ass to your followers, by all means, but you can't expect somebody not to sexualize you. That's literally idiotic and impossible to think that a man won't get aroused by looking at your body. He's not going to not get sexually interested just because you said so. So a lot of this overt sexualism is also causing men to be half-assed or dishonest in their approach with their intentions with women, and I hate that we give them that so easily. Social media makes it that women can be sexual beings, which to a certain degree I like and agree with, but there are negative side effects to how that plays a role in men taking us seriously and how they approach us in the dating world. So my third and final point is how women approach dating in 2022. I think a lot of us women are starting to wake up and realize that all of the things that we have allowed to be normalized for the past maybe 10 to 15 years are causing a lot of heartache, disrespect, and irreparable damage. I don't think a woman who ends up being a baby mama at a young age is damaged goods, but I do think when you give a man your womb prematurely, you are going to get labeled as a certain type of woman by men. That's just the way they think, unfortunately. When I preach that on this channel, many of you agree, but there's always that small peanut gallery that is so offended by me saying that. We are approaching dating as if we are equal to men in gender, when the things that we need to be equal about are the intangible aspects of dating. The love, the respect, the requirements, the accolades, all of those things. If women collectively stood our ground in what we deserve, men would have no option but to adapt to it. But there's so many people floating around in this gray area of, I want to be able to do what men can do, or simply do what I want, and a man will miraculously fall for me. And we've seen it happen. Hoes get cuffed, women who have 4 kids by 4 different men get married, girls who let their man be a bum all day birthday, but drive their car, still have a boyfriend. And I don't like that view for women when I think we are at a very prominent time for women, and the ball could easily be in our court if we got on one accord. Women, young women, again, this conversation is primarily for people in their early and mid and late 20s, just 20s. We date horribly, okay? We date for materialism. We date to flex. We date to sometimes be needy. We date to show people that we have a boyfriend. We date to prove to people that we can keep a man. We date to boost our ego. We date to be the side chick. Like, we date to check off a box. And I'm not saying that this is everyone, of course, but there's a lot of young women confused on how we actually should be dating. When people ask me for relationship advice, I hesitate because I don't think I've ever been in a successful relationship. But as I've been in these relationships that were unsuccessful, it's taught me what I should require and how I should go about dating. My good friend Susan once told me, love doesn't hurt. And that has stuck with me over the years because no relationship should be filled with infidelity, tears, heartache, and a lot of that is being normalized as what you have to deal with in a relationship. And if women could wake up and realize, no, you shouldn't be crying yourself to sleep, you shouldn't be checking his Instagram messages, you shouldn't be going on dummy missions with your homegirls to see if he's really cheating, we could align ourselves with men that we should be with. Now, men do have a lot of work to do on their own, but they need to start holding themselves accountable. They always say nice guys finish last, and it could be true because a lot of women do go for bad boys who don't serve our best interest. This generation is completely confused about dating because scammer boyfriend culture, hookup culture, sneaky link culture, side chick culture, and the high value man Kevin Samuels bullshit culture has been glamorized as what we should be doing. But women don't win the same games that men win. We don't get to sleep around and be considered that bitch. We get called a hoe. We don't get to have hella kids and be considered the man. We get called a baby mama and maybe a hoe again. We don't get to sexualize ourselves even if it's in the smallest degree and still get a bunch of men that want us for the right reasons. And it sucks because it's not fair and it's not right. It shouldn't be that way. Yet we can't reference traditionalism if everything we're doing is completely untraditional. And because we've normalized baby mama culture, hookup culture, being a side chick, we're going to continue to lose these games with men because men may not hold themselves accountable as a group, but collectively they don't bat an eye to bullshit when boys are being boys. With women, you're going to have half of the girls against being traditional and half of the girls for being traditional. With men, they really don't care. They're going to look for a wet ass and the biggest dummy who will let them get away with whatever. And the good guys kind of get left in the dust until it's too late. They exist. They may not be able to get you a bust down chain or a custom Lamborghini and all of that, but they do exist. I really do think it's us women that have changed more than men. Yes, Jayda referenced the 80s and the 90s, but I think back then the Nakers weren't shit, okay? So I am proud of women for being independent and outspoken in today's times, but that doesn't mean alter the way that you want to be respected and approached. And I've been very stupid in a lot of my dating choices in the past, so I try to use that to learn from my mistakes. Y'all are gonna call it pick me, but requiring the bare minimum isn't gonna get you the maximum benefits that you want. I think being in your early and mid 20s at this moment is very valuable because we are the demographic that has a lot of learning tools that are not just from the word of mouth from our parents and grandparents. We see viral and public examples from celebrities and social media stars that can teach us lessons, and we just have to pay attention. I don't think there's a perfect tactically sequential way to dating, but I do think women have to do better as to how we go about it. We have to have higher standards, we have to get on one accord, and we have to be strong in the knees when it comes to what we decide to tolerate when being courted, in a relationship, and on the verge of marriage as well. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. If you haven't already, please stream my song Ballin'. It is out on all platforms. I will link it down below, the video and where to stream it. Run it up because it is summer and we definitely ballin'. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.
Hey, it's just my students, it's a queen, I'm a preschool. Yeah, I get it done, I'm the one and you